She said we were on a break, as I showed her the text timestamp from the night she lied. Her eyes darted between my phone and my face like she was trying to decide which one was more dangerous. The little glow from the screen lit up her cheekbones and the faint smudge of mascara under her left eye, the one she'd rubbed without thinking. On the screen, right below. Eaten time was her message. I'm already home, promise, just need to sleep, we'll talk tomorrow, okay? Red heart sent at 11:42 p.m. the exact same minute her Uber receipt said she was halfway across town going to his building. I watched her throat move as she swallowed, the way her fingers tightened around the edge of the kitchen counter until her knuckles went white. We were on a break, she said again, slower this time, like if she separated the words they might make more sense. I felt my jaw clench, that deep ache right near my ears pulsing with every beat of my heart. We agreed we weren't seeing other people, I said, trying really hard to keep my voice level and not let it go into that high, shaky register it had earlier when I'd first put the pieces together. You said you were going home. You said you were alone. That was the night you begged me to trust you, remember? I flipped the phone horizontally so the timestamp was huge, stupidly undeniable. 11:42 p.m. Tuesday, August 8. Her hand twitched like she wanted to smack it out of my fingers. A break from fighting Leo, she snapped back, finally letting the anger creep in. A break from you constantly grilling me. Not a break from being the villain in whatever story your brain is telling you. It was a Tuesday night, late enough that the street outside our apartment building was quiet but early enough that our upstairs neighbor was still stomping around in heels, getting ready for her night shift. The flickering kitchen light that I kept meaning to fix buzzed faintly over our heads. The fridge hummed. Somewhere in the distance, a siren wailed. It would have been one of those totally forgettable midweek evenings, cheap pasta, Netflix, scrolling at opposite ends of the couch, if I hadn't happened to open the wrong email or the right one depending on how you look at it. We'd been together 4 years, living together for 1.5, and I thought the worst thing we'd ever gone through was that massive fight a month ago that ended in both of us saying, maybe we need a break, in different tones. Turns out that was just the starter. For context, I'm 28, she's 27, and until about 2 hours ago I would have described her as my girlfriend, almost fiancée if you'd asked. My name's Leo. Her name is Hannah. We met in the most cliché way possible, at a mutual friend's house party where someone spilled beer on the only decent couch and we both grabbed kitchen paper at the same time. She called me Napkin Hero for the first month of us dating. I made fun of her for pronouncing almond, with the L it felt easy. We did all the normal couple stuff. Brunches, trips to IKEA, arguments about whether the office UK or US is superior. She was aggressively US, I was fence-sitting. People who met us mostly said some version of, you guys just make sense. We weren't drama, we weren't chaos, we were background couple in a Netflix show. Stable, mildly cute, always holding hands in the establishing shot. The first fishes weren't about other people. They were about time and money, classic millennial starter pack problems. I'm a paramedic, which sounds cooler than it feels at 3 a.m. when you're covered in someone else's blood and your back hurts from lifting people off bathroom floors. She's a graphic designer at a mid-size agency, the kind that pitches to brands with a story and pays its staff with exposure and occasional pizza. We were both exhausted in different ways. My shifts were all over the place. Some weeks I worked 4 nights in a row, others I'd be on early mornings, occasionally on call for 18 stupid hours. Hannah was on a more standard schedule, but her job basically turned into chaos every time a client pivoted or decided they wanted a whole campaign redesigned because their CEO didn't like orange anymore. Our arguments started as little things. One of us leaving the washing in the machine too long, her sighing when she came home to a sink full of dishes because I'd crashed after a run of calls, me getting annoyed when she bylaid on plans with my friends because I'm mentally fried, babe, I just want my bed. Normal couple stuff, I thought, we always made up. The break started mid-argument, like they always do in these stories. We'd been spiraling for weeks. I'd worked a particularly rough double shift, a multi-car crash, a kid with an asthma attack whose mum couldn't find his inhaler, an overdose that didn't go the way we all prayed it would. I came home feeling like a half-deflated balloon, my limbs heavy, my brain buzzing. All I wanted was a shower hot enough to strip my skin, and then to collapse on the couch with Hannah's legs over my lap, some trash TV murmuring in the background. Instead, I walked into the living room to see her laptop open, InDesign glaring at me like an enemy, and Hannah hunched over it, hair in that messy bun that means, no one talk to me, empty coffee cups scattered around like shells. Hey, I said softly, dropping my bag. She jumped, oh hey, you're home early. Only by like half an hour, I said, trying for a joke. Don't sound so disappointed. I'm not, she shot back too fast, rubbing her temples. I'm on a deadline, my brain's fried. Same, I said, leaning down to kiss her cheek. She let me, but her eyes didn't leave the screen. I showered, changed into sweats, came back out expecting maybe to sit near her and at least be in the same space. Instead, for the next 3 hours, the only sounds in the apartment were her keyboard, my phone, and occasional sighs. Every attempt I made at conversation. Accident I'd been to, some dumb meme from my work group chat, a TikTok about paramedics, got met with, "Can we not right now?" By the time it hit 10 p.m., I was more wound up than when I'd walked in. "Are you going to eat?" I asked. "Already did," she said, eyes still on the screen. I looked at the bench. There was an empty sushi container in the bin. "You could have texted, I would have grabbed something on the way in," I said. "You were working," she snapped. "I didn't want to bother you with my dinner choices while you were saving lives or whatever." It was the or whatever that got me. Something petty inside me snapped. "It's not about sushi," I said, sharper than I meant. "It's just, lately it feels like I live with a roommate who occasionally lets me hold her hand." She finally looked at me, eyes ringed with tired dark circles. "Oh my God, Leo, are we really doing this now?" "You keep saying later," I said. "When is later? After this deadline? After the next one? When exactly do we get to be in a relationship again?" "You think I like this?" she shot back, gesturing at the laptop. "You think I enjoy working 70-hour weeks so some brand can sell more protein bars? I'm trying. I'm exhausted. And when I finally sit down, you want to have a deep emotional check-in." "I want you to look at me," I said, hatting how my voice cracked. "Just sometimes." We went back and forth like that, each repeating variations of "I'm tired, and you don't understand, and you're making this about you." She said I didn't respect her work. I said she didn't respect my sleep. She said I was emotionally unavailable because I shrugged things off with dark humor. I said she was emotionally unavailable because her main relationship was with her laptop. It was one of those fights where halfway through you forget what the original point was. At some point, I said, "Maybe we need a break," throwing the words out like a grenade because I didn't know what else to do. She froze. "A break," she repeated. "Yeah," I said, immediately regretting it but too proud to back down. "Maybe we need some space. Time to, I don't know, breathe, reset, because whatever we're doing now clearly isn't working." There was a long silence. I could see the hurt flicker across her face, swallowed quickly by anger. "Fine," she said, "if that's what you want." "That's not," I started, but she held up a hand. "No, you said it," she cut in. "Maybe you're right. Maybe you do need a break from me and my laptop and my deadlines. Maybe I need a break from feeling like everything I do is wrong because it doesn't fit your idea of quality time." I felt the room tilt. This wasn't going the way my dramatic little internal monologue had scripted it. In my head, she was supposed to say, "No, I don't want that. Let's fix this." Then we'd hug, cry, have minor epiphanies, maybe bad but cathartic sex, and wake up in some glowing new version of us. Instead, she grabbed her phone, stuffed her laptop into its sleeve, and said, "I'm going to crash at Erin for a few days." I stared. "Now?" "Yes, now," she said. "You want space? Cool, I'll give you space." "Can we please talk about what a break actually means before you walk out?" I asked, panic scraping at the back of my throat. She paused by the door, one shoe half on. "It means we stop picking at each other for a bit," she said. "It means we stop pretending everything's fine. I don't know, Leo. I'm making this up as I go." "Does it mean we are still together?" I pushed, heart thudding. She looked at me, and I'll never forget the way her eyes softened for a second, like she wanted to reach across the invisible gulf between us. "Of course we're still together," she said. "I'm not breaking up with you. I just need quiet." "Okay," I said, exhaling. "So we're not seeing other people?" She made a face like I'd just asked whether gravity worked differently in our apartment. "No," she said. "We're not seeing other people. Jesus." "Okay," I repeated, more to myself than to her. "Okay." She left with that, promising to text when she got to Erin's. She did about 20 minutes later. "Here, exhausted. Can we not talk about anything heavy tonight? My brain's mush. I love you." There was a little heart at the end. I stared at it until my eyes burned. The next few days were weird. I went to work, came home to a quieter apartment, cooked for one, watched shows we'd been watching together, and felt guilty about it like I was cheating on. Some unspoken agreement. She texted sporadically, memes, a photo of Erin's cat, updates like 2 days of sleeping properly is magical, you should try it. Nothing deep, no relationship talk. It was like we'd put the us part in a drawer for a bit. On night number 3, she texted around 7 p.m. "Erin, got a date, so I'll be out of her hair for the evening, lol. Might grab a drink with some work people. How's your day?" I replied, "Long. 2 car crashes and a guy who thought he was having a heart attack, but it was just 5 Red Bulls. Enjoy your drink. Please don't let them make you do tequila." She sent back a laughing emoji and no promises. At 10:30 p.m. I texted, alive. She replied at 10:33, yeah, just heading back now, I'm wrecked, I'll call you tomorrow, okay? At 11:42 p.m. she sent, I'm already home, promise, just need to sleep, we'll talk tomorrow, okay? Read. I believed her, because that's what you do when someone you love tells you they're home and safe. You don't imagine their Uber route snaking across town to someone else's building. You don't picture their shoes by another bed. Flash forward a month. We were better on the surface. The break lasted exactly 9 days. She came back with an overnight bag and slightly clearer eyes, and we had a big, quiet talk on the couch. We both apologized for different things, me for minimizing her stress, her for shutting me out instead of letting me in. We decided on date nights like we were following some manual. We even laughed about the whole break thing. God, we sounded like Ross and Rachel, she said, wrinkling her nose. Remind me never to let us become a sitcom storyline again. We didn't talk about rules because in my mind we'd been clear from the start. We were still together. We weren't seeing other people. That was it. Case closed. Then today happened. I was in the kitchen, half working on a grocery list and half procrastinating by digging through my emails, when I noticed a notification from Uber with a subject line that made my brain do a double take. Your August trip summary is ready. I don't lease a car, so the only reason I ever get Uber receipts is when I've taken rides myself. I hadn't used Uber that much in August, and curiosity is my fatal flaw, so I clicked. Up popped a list of trips. A few made sense. My late shift where I'd gotten a ride home at 4 a.m. instead of biking, the night we went to my sister's birthday at that restaurant across town. Then there was one I didn't recognize. Tuesday, August 8, pickup, the Fox and Hound pub, drop-off, Greenview Apartments. Time, 11:42 p.m. My first thought was, did my account get hacked? My second was, do I even know where Greenview Apartments is? I clicked the map. It was on the other side of the city, near the river. I've never been there in my life. Then my stomach dropped. Our Uber accounts are linked to the same card. We set it up that way when we moved in together because it was easier to track rides for budgeting. We joked about Big Brother Uber watching our every move. In all the time we'd been together, I don't think I'd ever actually bothered to look at the monthly breakdown. I scrolled back, there were a few of hers, rides home from late work drinks sprinkled among mine. It all seemed normal. The August 8 ride, though, stood out. It wasn't from her work or Erin's place. The pickup location was that pub she'd mentioned once or twice, as the place we go for post-work whinge sessions. The drop-off was Greenview. I grabbed my phone, opened our texts, and scrolled back to August 8. There it was. Erin got a date, so I'll be out of her hair for the evening lol. Might grab a drink with some work people. Then later, yeah, just heading back now, I'm wrecked, I'll call you tomorrow, okay? And at 11:42, I'm already home, promise, just need to sleep, we'll talk tomorrow, okay? Read. My hands started trembling. I remember sitting down at the kitchen table because my knees suddenly didn't feel like they were on my side. The chair scraped loud against the tiles. The plant by the window was silhouetted against the streetlight, leaves against the glass like fingerprints. It felt like my vision narrowed and my hearing sharpened, everything too clear, too crisp. I told myself to breathe. I told myself there had to be an explanation. Maybe she'd shared a ride with someone. Maybe the Uber auto-populated an address she didn't go to because of some glitch. Maybe, I don't know. My brain went into overdrive trying to find any narrative that wasn't the obvious one. Hey, you home? She called from the bedroom. My heart nearly launched out of my chest. I'd been so wrapped up in the Uber rabbit hole I'd forgotten she was in the apartment, in the next room, folding laundry while she watched some YouTube video about interior design. Yeah, I croaked, kitchen. She padded in wearing one of my old t-shirts and leggings, hair in a loose plait over one shoulder. She looked normal, familiar, comfortable. That hurt somehow. We're out of hangers, she said, then paused when she saw my face. What's wrong? I looked up at her, then down at the laptop, then at my phone. I could have lied, could have said nothing, and sat with this knowledge for a while, gathering evidence like some kind of sad detective. But something inside me, that part that spends nights holding bleeding strangers' hands and knows how fast everything can change, rebelled at the idea of wasting more time. Do you remember August 8? I asked, voice weirdly calm. She frowned, thinking, that's very specific. You mean like a month ago? I don't know why. Tuesday night, I said. You were at Erin's. You texted to say you were going for drinks with work people. She shrugged. Probably, we've had a few of those. Why? You texted me at 10:33 saying you were heading back. Then at 11:42 11:42 saying you were home and going to sleep. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Okay, you're freaking me out. Why are you reciting timestamps? Because at 11:42, I said, our Uber account shows a ride from the Fox and Hound to Greenview Apartments. I turned the laptop so she could see, paid with our card, on your profile. For a second, nothing moved. Then she laughed, brittle and too high. Uber's buggy sometimes, she said. You know that. Remember when it said you were in Wagga and you were just at work? That was Google Maps and it was your phone, I said automatically, then shook my head. This is a ride, Hannah, a paid ride, to an apartment building I've never been to, have you? Her face tightened. She did this thing she always does when she's cornered, licking her bottom lip just once before she speaks like she's moistening it for impact. I think I went once, she said carefully. We all went back to someone's place after drinks. It wasn't a big deal. Whose place? I asked. She looked at the ceiling like the answer might be written there. I don't remember, she claimed. One of the guys. We were just crashing there because the trains were screwed or something. And you told me you were home, I said. I didn't want you to worry, she said immediately. You get weird about me being out late. I stared at her, weird, as in wanting to know if my girlfriend is safe, yes. She sighed, rolling her eyes like I was being dramatic. I meant you have enough stress at work. I didn't want you picturing me on some train platform at midnight. I was safe, with people I know. With people you know at Greenview Apartments, I said. Which one of your co-workers lives there again? Her gaze flickered to the left, then back. Ben does, she said, too fast. She doesn't have a co-worker named Ben. She has told me enough stories about her colleagues that I could probably write their HR files from memory. Tom, creative director, Priya, junior designer, Ellie, copy, Matt, account manager she loathes, and Joel, developer growth whatever, Jim Bro, the guy she insists is like a brother, which has always pinged my internal radar a bit. No Ben. You don't work with a Ben, I said quietly. A flush crept up her neck. Maybe he's new, you don't know everyone I work with. Hannah, I said, feeling something in my chest crack, I'm not stupid. There was a long silence. Then I watched her face shift, the like-brother mask slipping, something harder setting in behind her eyes. What do you want me to say? She snapped. That I went back to Joel's place that night. Is that what you're fishing for? The sound my heart made was weird. It wasn't the drama movie, Shatter. It was more like a slow deflate, air hissing out of a balloon you didn't realize was filled too tight. Yes, I said, I want you to say what actually happened. She crossed her arms, drawing her hoodie tighter around herself. Fine, she said, jaw set. We went back to Joel's. There was a group of us. We drank, watched some crap movie, people crashed on the couches. Nothing happened. Nothing, I repeated. She nodded, staring me down. And you lied about it because? Because I knew you'd do exactly this, she said, voice rising. Interrogate me like I'm on trial. You hate Joel. You've made that obvious. I do, kind of. Not because he's inherently evil, but because he has that effortless charisma that wraps rooms around him, and he's flirted with pretty much every woman in Hannah's orbit under the guise of banter. But I'd never said, I hate Joel to her, just that he gave me bad vibes. I don't hate him, I said slowly. I don't trust him. There's a difference. And you know what? Right now I'm wondering if I should have trusted you less too. She flinched at that. Wow, she said, laughing without humor. Okay, cool, good to know where we are. We're at you lied to me, I said, feeling my own anger finally start to ignite. If nothing happened, why not just say you were crashing at a coworker? Why make up being home? Because you would have read into it, she shot back. Like you're doing now. Because we were already hanging by a thread and I didn't want to add, my boyfriend is jealous of my friends to the list. Funny, I said, that you knew it might be an issue but did it anyway. She sighed loudly, like she was exhausted by my logic. You're making a huge deal out of one stupid Uber ride, she said. We were on a break, Leo. We weren't in our normal rules mode. Stop saying that like it's a magic immunity clause, I snapped. We were on a break from fighting and we specifically said we weren't seeing other people. I held up my phone, scrolled up to the messages from that night. You wrote, of course we're still together. I'm not breaking up with you. Then, no, we're not seeing other people. Jesus, do you want me to print it out for you? Her face went pale, then flushed. She opened her mouth, then shut it. We were on a break, she repeated finally, but now it sounded weaker, less conviction, more habit. Everything was messed up. I wasn't in my right mind. I laughed then because my choices were laugh or cry, and my body apparently picked both. You were in the exact mind to order an Uber, kiss me goodnight over text, and lie about where you were sleeping, I said. That takes a remarkable amount of clarity. She slammed her palm on the counter, making the cutlery in the drawer rattle. "What do you want from me?" she yelled. "Do you want me to say I'm a terrible person? That I got drunk and I wanted to feel something other than trapped and I made a stupid choice?" "Yes," I said. "I want you to say what you actually did, not dress it up as stupid and nothing. Did you sleep with him?" Silence. She stared at the fridge, at the magnet that holds up our electricity bill, at anything but me. Her fingers went still on the counter. "Yes," she whispered. There it was, no dramatic thunder, no glass shattering, just a single syllable that rearranged every memory in my head. "How many times?" I asked, because apparently I hate myself. She winced. "Twice," she said. "That night and once more, the week after. Then I freaked out and told him we couldn't do it again." I felt like I was trying to swallow a stone. "So while we were on our break, you started a side quest," I said. "And then when you came back to our apartment and told me you wanted to fix us, you were, what, testing out your options?" "That's not fair," she said immediately. "I wasn't auditioning him as your replacement. It wasn't like that." "How was it?" I asked. She rubbed her face hard like she could scrub the guilt off. "I felt seen," she said, voice raw, "for the first time in months. Like someone was actually excited to be around me, not just enduring the version of me that was burnt out and angry all the time. He listened." "Did he listen with his dick?" I snapped before I could stop myself. Her head jerked up. "Wow," she said, really mature. "I'm sorry," I said. "I'm processing the fact that my girlfriend of 4 years was fucking the guy she told me not to worry about while we were supposedly working on our relationship. I'm not at my most graceful." We went round and round like that, the same circles everyone in this situation traces. Her saying it didn't mean anything, me insisting that if it didn't mean anything she wouldn't have risked everything for it. She said she hated herself. I said I hated this version of her who made me feel like I was insane for weeks. At some point, she tried to flip it. "You wanted a break," she said. "You said it first. You can't throw that grenade and then act surprised when shrapnel hits you." "I wanted space," I said, "not a hall pass." "In your head, there's a difference," she shot back. "In mine, I thought maybe we needed to test what life would be like without." Without. The word hung there incomplete, and in that moment I realized something that hurt more than her saying yes. She had already imagined a life without me, sat with it, tried it on. "Were you going to tell me?" I asked after a long, awful silence. She hesitated. That hesitation told me more than anything. "I don't know," she said finally. "Yeah," I said, "you do." She opened her mouth, closed it. Tears spilled over, streaking black lines down her cheeks. "I didn't want to hurt you," she said. "I thought if I buried it, if I pretended it never happened, we could just move forward." "Move forward," I repeated, built on a lie. "It was 2 nights," she said desperately. "That's all, 2 stupid, messed up nights. We've had 4 years, Leo, 4 years of good. Are you really going to throw it all away over a couple of mistakes when we were already blowing up?" I looked at her then, really looked, and saw both the girl who'd fallen asleep on my chest at 5 a.m. while we watched planet Earth during a heat wave, and the woman standing in front of me trying to downgrade a betrayal to a lapse in judgment. "I'm not the one who threw it away," I said quietly. "I'm just finally acknowledging it's lying in pieces." She sobbed then, loud messy sobs that made my chest ache and my stomach twist. I wanted to hold her. My dumb, traitorous body still wanted to comfort her, but my feet felt glued to the floor. "What do you want to do?" she asked eventually, voice wrecked. "Do you want me to move out? Do you want to try therapy? Do you want to, I don't know, tell me what you want?" For years, if you'd asked me what my worst nightmare was, I'd have said something like losing a patient in a way that was obviously my fault, or running over someone with the ambulance. Turns out, it's being asked to be project manager of my own heartbreak. "I don't know," I said honestly. "I know I can't unknow this. I know I can't pretend we were on some Ross and Rachel break when we had explicitly said we weren't seeing other people. I know that every time you're late from work now, my brain is going to replay tonight and wonder if there's another Uber receipt I haven't seen yet." She winced. "There isn't," she said quickly. "You saying that means less than it did yesterday," I said, and watched that land. We talked for another hour in tangled loops. She said she'd cut Joel off, already had apparently after the second time when guilt ate her alive. She showed me a text where she'd written, "We can't do this again. I love my boyfriend and I've fucked up enough," and his reply, "Okay, I get it, I'm here as a friend." I didn't know whether to laugh or throw up. She offered to change jobs, to give me all her passwords, to do whatever it took to show you can trust me again. The thing is, you can't patch bullet holes with promises. I think you should stay with Erin again, I said eventually, when my brain felt like mush. At least for a bit. I need time to sit with this, figure out whether I can look at you without seeing a timestamp. She stared at me, eyes red. If I pack a bag now, is that it? She asked. Are you going to text me in 3 days and say we're done? I don't know, I said. I'm not making you any promises tonight. Clearly those don't mean much in this house right now. She flinched like I'd slapped her, then slowly she nodded. Okay, she whispered, I'll go. Packing took 10 minutes. 4 years together, and everything she needed to leave could fit in a backpack and a tote bag. Toothbrush, a few changes of clothes, her laptop, charger. She hesitated over a photo on the bookshelf, us at my sister's wedding, her in that green dress that made everyone tell me I was punching above my weight. She didn't take it. She left it face down on the shelf. At the door, she turned. For what it's worth, she said, voice barely audible, I do love you. It was never about not loving you. That almost makes it worse, I said. She nodded like she'd expected that, then slipped out, the click of the latch weirdly loud. That was 3 days ago. Since then, I've gone to work, listened to other people's worst days on repeat, and come home to an apartment that feels both empty and radioactive. Her mug is still in the sink. Her hair tie is still on the bedside table. Our shared Spotify account keeps suggesting the playlists we made. Together, I keep opening the fridge and closing it again without taking anything because my appetite and my sense of normal seem to have left with her. She's texted a few times. I'm giving you space, but I'm here if you want to talk. I've looked up couples therapists. I can send you the links if you want. I know you probably hate me. I hate me too. I haven't replied yet. I've typed out about 100 drafts. Some furious, some heartbreakingly soft, some stupidly practical. Rent's due next week. What do you want to do? I backspace them all. My sister knows in the Cliff Notes version, Hannah got too close to a coworker while we were on a break, and it crossed a line. She said, once a cheater, and I cut her off because I know the saying, but life feels more complicated than a bumper sticker. My work partner, Jay, knows a bit more because my face apparently screamed emotional car crash on our last shift. He listened, then said, man, if my girl ever said we were on a break to justify banging a dude I already didn't trust, I'd be gone, in that confident tone people use when they're imagining moral dilemmas from a safe distance. My therapist, yes, I booked one, and yes, everyone in healthcare should have one on retainer, trust me, is the only one who's made me feel like I'm not insane for being stuck. She asked, if you stayed, would you ever feel safe again? And if you left, what would you miss besides the idea of the relationship? That question has been rattling around my skull ever since. Would I miss Hannah specifically? The way she laughs, the way she sings horribly off-key to the radio, the way she squeezes my hand once when she's anxious? Or would I miss having we've been together 4 years as some kind of identity badge? Would I be staying because I truly believe we could rebuild something honest, or because the story of we survived infidelity and are stronger for it sounds tidier than we broke up at 28 and I had to start over? I don't have answers yet. What I do know is this: every time my brain tries to rewrite what happened into something more palatable, that Uber email pops into my head like a push notification. Every time I think maybe it really was just 2 stupid nights, I remember that for those nights she was making choices in real time. Order the drink, flirt back, get in the car, send I'm already home, promise. That's not an accident, that's a series of decisions. And every time I hear her voice in my head saying, we were on a break, in that half-accusatory way, I look at the text where she promised we weren't seeing other people, and the timestamp that proves exactly when she broke that promise. I think maybe that's the part I can't get past, not just the sex, but the gaslighting baked into the we were on a break argument. The attempt to retroactively move the goalposts so she doesn't have to sit in the full weight of, I cheated on you. If I do post this on Reddit for real, and let's be honest, I probably will as some kind of anonymous public diary, I know the comments will be full of leave, divorce her, you're young, don't waste time, even though we're not married. There'll be a few my partner cheated, we did therapy, it's possible to rebuild, too. People love a redemption arc almost as much as a revenge story. Right now, I'm not ready for either. I'm just a guy who found an Uber receipt in his inbox and had his understanding of his entire relationship rearranged by a timestamp. She said we were on a break, as if that sentence could erase the way my chest felt when I saw Greenview Apartments on that screen, as if invoking Ross Geller would make me laugh instead of want to throw up. Maybe in 6 months I'll look back on this as the night everything broke so something better could be built. Maybe I'll look back on it as the night I should have walked away and didn't. But tonight, all I know is this: There's no version of "we were on a break" that makes lying about where you slept any less of a choice. And there's no timestamp that can take me back to the moment before I knew.